How an accountant's negligence led to a £200,000 HMRC nightmare. For most business owners, their accountant is one of the most trusted professionals in their lives. They are the expert you rely on to keep your affairs compliant, accurate, and protected. But when that trust is misplaced, the fallout can be devastating. At Tax Investigation Helpline, we recently took on a case that reveals just how life-changing the consequences of professional negligence can be when an accountant fails in their duty of care. Our client was the owner of a successful and respected business. Like many, they depended entirely on their accountant to manage their tax affairs and ensure everything was in order. Every piece of advice was followed. Every instruction was trusted. They believed, as any reasonable person would, that they were safe in professional hands. Unfortunately, that trust would prove to be misplaced. 5 years ago, HMRC launched what began as a routine inquiry into the client's accounts. But as the investigation deepened, serious discrepancies began to surface. Documents were missing, returns were incomplete, and figures submitted to HMRC were inaccurate. These weren't deliberate actions by the client, they were the direct result of the accountant's errors and omissions. And just when things turned serious, the accountant did the unthinkable: he vanished. Calls went unanswered. Emails ignored. The professional who had been paid to protect his client went off-grid at the moment he was needed most. Left to face HMRC alone, the client was treated as though they had acted deliberately, as though they were a criminal. For 3 grueling years, they endured interviews, demands, and threats of prosecution, with no explanation as to why this was happening. In the end, HMRC concluded their investigation and issued penalties and payments totaling over £200,000. At that stage, the client believed there was nothing they could do. They had been told, incorrectly, that once HMRC's investigation was closed, the matter was finished. They didn't realize that they could have held the accountant responsible for his negligence. That misunderstanding cost them dearly. To meet HMRC's demands, the client was forced to cash in their pension, sacrificing their future financial security to pay off mistaken debts. The stress of being treated like a criminal, coupled with the overwhelming financial pressure, left them mentally unwell and unable to continue running their business. The company they had built over many years was lost. Today, they are working for someone else just to pay the bills, a far cry from the stability and success they once enjoyed. 2 years after the HMRC case had concluded, the client finally reached out to Tax Investigation Helpline. By that point, the damage seemed irreversible, financially, emotionally, and professionally. But as soon as we reviewed the case, the truth became clear. The accountant had filed inaccurate tax returns, failed to keep adequate records, missed critical HMRC deadlines, ignored official correspondence, given incorrect advice that worsened the situation. And when confronted by HMRC, rather than defending his client, he disappeared. We also discovered that the accountant had been operating beyond his competence, giving advice he was not qualified to provide. He was never transparent about the risks, and when the pressure mounted, he abandoned his client altogether. After significant investigation, our team tracked down the accountant who had caused so much harm. He had moved on, changed contact details, and effectively tried to disappear, but we found him. We are now pursuing a professional negligence claim to recover the client's losses and hold the accountant accountable. This includes the £200,000 paid to HMRC, costs incurred during and after the investigation, damages for mental distress and loss of income. Our legal and tax experts are working to ensure justice is done, and that the client is compensated for what they endured. What others can learn. This case is not unique. We hear from business owners every week who have been failed by their accountants, left facing HMRC investigations, and convinced there's nothing they can do. The truth is, You can act, even after an HMRC case has ended. If your accountant's mistakes cause your losses, you may be able to recover the money and repair the damage. Here are 3 key lessons. Always request and keep copies of submissions made to HMRC on your behalf. Seek independent advice early. Don't wait until HMRC closes a case to get help. You are not powerless after the fact. Even if your accountant has gone quiet or disappeared, they can be traced and held responsible. How we help. At Tax Investigation Helpline, we specialize in supporting individuals and businesses during and after HMRC investigations. Our experts combine deep tax knowledge with legal experience to identify negligence, pursue compensation, and restore peace of mind. No one should have to suffer financial ruin, mental distress, and reputational damage because of another professional's failings. If you have suffered losses due to your accountant's mistakes, or if you were told you could do nothing, we can help. Visit www.taxinvestigationhelpline.co.uk or contact us for a confidential conversation. Let us help you reclaim what's rightfully yours, and hold those responsible to account.